Ciao guys, welcome back to the ARTFUL Podcast. It's Matteo, your host. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. Let's grow this art community together. And no further ado, let's go on with a new episode. How's it going today? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a
Yeah.
little nervous. I've never done a podcast interview before, but I'm really excited.
Oh, that's don't be nervous about that. It's really easy going, just chatting about art and drawings and paintings and whatever. So it's gonna be
Great.
it's gonna be pretty easy going. Don't worry. So, guys, in this new episode of the ARTFUL Podcast, we are joined by Grace, and she was really nice to have accepted to be part of the podcast. How are you doing, Grace, today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited to talk to you because super fan of drawings in general, and when I saw your kind of how your technique is and how you develop your works, I was really curious to talk to you, and it's been really quickly, and I was so glad that you accepted, and we managed to do this interview like in a couple of days, basically. So let's introduce yourself first. What's your background? Any studies that you've done? And yeah, and then we can take it from there so people can know you a little bit better.
Great. Okay, so I'm American. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I did my education in Richmond, Virginia, at Virginia Commonwealth University, focusing in painting and printmaking. And then after graduation, I moved to Annecy, France, and I've been working here for 4 or 5 years since then. So, yeah.
Nice. Did you jump straight away into the art world? When did you move from the USA um to France?
Yes, it was kind of slow because the transition, getting all of my materials and just mentally getting in the headspace, like coming the big move from the US to France, it was quite an adjustment. So it took several months to find everything I needed. I was used to, I guess, all of the resources I had in the US.
Mm.
So I was reaching out to a lot of other artists, asking, about materials and this and that, how they find their things. So it took a few months to start up and also to like mentally get into the headspace because it's really overwhelming. Such a big move from two very different countries. So lots of distractions and excitement and everything. Yeah, I settled into it and yeah.
So now it's going, now it's going great. Yeah, I can relate a little bit to that because I moved recently to Berlin, and in the UK, I was living in the UK for a long time. I studied there art, and you get familiar with all the artists and all the people that are there, so you kind of like have your own circle, and then when you move to another city, especially like a bigger city like Berlin, you kind of like, whoa, you don't really know what to do and where to go. Luckily, I had like some contacts here because I moved here because I started working in a gallery straight away. So that was really helpful. But yeah, I can imagine the stress and the moving.
Big adjustment.
Yeah, big adjustment. So people are gonna see some picture during the interview, and they're gonna understand what we are talking about. But your artworks are really particular. Do you wanna jump and explain a little bit your practice, especially your technique? How do you develop your works? Because they're really interesting. And where did you come up with your way of doing your drawings and paintings?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first started with art, I always naturally had an eye for detail. And I think the first thing I gravitated towards was portraits and figures and things like that. But it was always hard for me to find my specific niche and body of work that was uniquely mine and how to apply this skill set. So yeah, during college, it was a very rigorous curriculum, very challenging. And through all of these challenges and things, I don't know, I guess I always led with my intuition and what visually I was drawn to. So it just came from kind of experimenting and discovering visually what I was drawn to, and then applying different techniques and materials to figure out how to replicate what I was seeing. So pretty much I started experimenting with photography and out of focus photography. It started with figures, and then I went into botanicals and the nature around me. And I found that with nature and botanicals, there's so many possibilities. And I loved the forms that were created when I was experimenting with focus or shutter speed, catching motion. To me, the possibilities are endless for what can be captured.
Yeah.
And yeah, just going to what I was drawn to visually. And then I've always also been an artist. I'm very hands-on. So I get a lot of questions, you know, why not just let your pieces be photography? Why create them by hand? Like, why replicate and render these images? And it's just what feels natural to me. I've always had like my hand in art, like, and so it was natural for me to replicate it. And then also the material part of it, working with powders and brushes and these thick papers. It's important for me to emphasize the materials rather than having something just printed out.
The whole like getting dirty, hands-on, like you need to breathe the environment. I completely understand. When I do portrait, unfortunately I do most of the time I do it through photography because it's really difficult to ask people to stand still for 4 hours and then make a drawing. So it's just easier to just take pictures, and I can technically print that because there is a process behind, and it can be an artistic way of you expressing what you want. But I need to use charcoal, I need to use paint, I need that's my outlet for me to be okay, this is the outcome. That's me, that's what I want to represent myself into the artwork. I completely agree with that. It's so important for
it really becomes like an extension of you, and I think you become more intimate with the work when it's flowing through you and you've really created it by hand. So that was important to me to keep that element in my work.
I can imagine that it's kind of similar because when I do portrait, I do several photos, and then I pick maybe one or two, and then I do lots of sketching. Like I need to get familiar with the portrait, with the face, with the shape of the person, and so to get to the final outcome, I need to get through so many sketches, so many drawings. I'm guessing is that kind of what you do when you do your drawings?
No, it's pretty different. I mean, the important thing for me was that I was always drawn to really abstract work, really non-representational work, but the process itself was very unnatural to me. So it's one of the things I tried and experimented with in my education, just, you know, staring at a blank canvas, trying to make a first mark anywhere, and I was lost. It's very intimidating. So I admire that work, and I wanted that amount of abstract in my work. So I found that through photography, I have a certain amount of control, but also being able to abstract and let things, you know, up to chance. What will I capture if I just snap a picture like this? So I'm still able to get control, and then through taking a ton of pictures, going through them, then having the control and selecting what I want and cropping and finding my composition and what I think is interesting happening with the forms. And then I always project, I make a map, because with my materials, there's kind of very little room for error.
Mm.
So I always map everything out, and then I render by hand based off my photos. So it's very, very guided and controlled, because that's how my mind works. That's naturally my process and things, but I'm still able to achieve an abstract element in my work through experimentation and photography.
Yeah, no, I can see that through what I saw online. And it's really interesting, the cropping thing, because when you usually I saw some portrait, but I usually use like nature and plants and all the kind of shape. But what does it inspire you? What does it capture your attention? What are you looking for when you crop the picture? You're like, okay, this is the section of the photos that, or of the photo itself, that I really want to do the drawing based on. And how do you get to that conclusion? How do you choose your
Yeah.
crop?
Well, it's kind of hard because it is just kind of intuition. It is just
Mm,
kind of what I'm attracted to, but I guess it's things that just spark my curiosity, and I think would make viewers really want to explore what's happening on the surface and in the image. And so it's just things that I think are unique and interesting happening through, like I said, shutter speed or focus, all of these things combined. And the forms that are created,
mm,
sometimes they're soft and really ambiguous, and you can't maybe tell what it is. And there's other parts of the piece that give context. Oh, these are botanicals, and it all starts to come together. But anything that I think just sparks curiosity and I think is beautiful. So
yeah, the aesthetic part, it's plays a role there. Well, how do you get to the techniques that you're using now? Do you think your practice changed quite a lot from when you started to now, since you go into the autofocus, using photography to get your drawings?
yeah. So, I mean, really, the only materials I was used to before going to college, it was just pencil and paper.
Mm,
That's all I really worked in. And then I went into paint. I would say I really wanted to be a painter, but it was kind of hard for me to control that material. And then through just wanting to achieve the characteristics of blurry photography, I discovered brush and dry materials and
mm,
slowly building up these powders. And then there's also the element of, what brushes to use, because there are pretty different brushes, I would say, than used in paint. I use a lot of makeup brushes
okay.
because they're really dense and soft, and they hold powders better than maybe some
Makes sense.
coarser painting
Makes sense.
brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just had to kind of pick up brushes, experiment, and find what works best for picking up powders and putting them down. And yeah.
Mm. It's really interesting what you touching, because as an artist, most of the time we just jump into, okay, I need to paint because that's what artists do. I need to use oil or acrylic. But there is that important thing of like researching materials, and it sounds that's what you did for a long time before you got to what you are comfortable to use. Um, as an artist, you need to really find the materials that speaks to you and that brings you um, to the outcome that you want easily, because there's so many things that you can use, and there's so many things that you can literally like create with, and you can get lost into a way of thinking that you're not exploring what you actually need to explore, and then that will change completely your artworks. I think that's really
Yeah.
important, and yeah, you can see it in your artworks. Especially after you speak up on now, there is the research, and there is the you're you're comfortable to use powder, which is kind of like it can go anywhere. Like it's powder, it's dust. Like and use it how you use it. It's really impressive. That's why I was really struck by your artwork. It's a really a precise way to use powder. I don't know how to describe it completely, but it's yeah, it's difficult to make sense of what I'm saying. But yeah, there is the a really specific way of using powder that's yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, it takes patience,
Mm,
control, slow and steady, and that's kind of my pace naturally. So the
mm.
material feels pretty natural. Yeah.
Nice, great. Yeah, I think that's really important for artists to understand. How did you get into art? It was always was always there when you were a kid, and you was dreamed about being an artist. How did you go here?
Yeah, well, I would say it was always, I guess I just assumed I would be an artist, and I really didn't have any fear going into it. And a big reason for that is because my dad is an artist.
Mm,
So I grew up in a household where my mom was a photographer and my dad was an artist. So it's very normal to me. And I knew I was always creating art. I would say I was kind of stuck between worlds because I was part artist and I was part athlete too. So those
okay.
were like my extracurricular activities, and they're pretty different worlds. So I would say it was kind of hard for me to be completely absorbed into the art world until I really found my body of work and what was uniquely mine. And then that really motivated me and got me excited. And then it, became my identity. Like now I'm an artist. Now I know my path. Now I know what I'm doing. But skill set wise, like natural skill set, it was always there. So I was always partaking in art,
Mm,
but it wasn't my main focus until college, and I really discovered what I wanted to do within
mm.
art.
With the athletes, I think they are completely different worlds, but at the same time, if you they are pretty similar, meaning like there is discipline in both worlds that if you don't have, I don't think you can make it in both. Like you need to have discipline, you need to work there every day. The only main big difference, I did boxing for like 8 years, so
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of relate to that. And I think that it's different, meaning you see result in sports pretty quickly. If you're not good at something, for example, if you don't run 100 meters in 3 seconds, like you're not probably gonna win the Olympics. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
there are like in your face results that in sports you can see pretty quickly and understand that maybe it's not your path. In art,
Mm-hmm.
it's so relevant, like so you don't really have a path. There is nothing there that it says, okay, you're an artist. You kind of need to convince yourself, which is really difficult to do and take that step. Um, I struggle a lot with that. Deciding finally to do this 100% full time. That's it. I'm an artist, and kind of like proudly say that I'm an artist. Before was always
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing art, it's on the side. Oh, you're really good. Oh, thank you. And that's it. Like it wasn't me going out of my way and be like, oh, that's my profession. Because it's always like, oh, are you making money with art? Like there's always that question from
Yeah.
the other side. Which is yeah, it's so stressful when people are like getting there so quickly.
Yeah.
How did
It is
yeah.
unconventional career, and it is hard because there's, I guess, like a scale between um art as a hobby or art as a full-time career,
Mm,
and where do you land on that? And yeah, how do you explain that to people? Because it can be hard for people who work regular 9 to 5 jobs to understand. You just, like, there's no structure in what you do, there's no rules.
yeah.
So it can kind of be a tough concept for other people to grasp, and yourself to think of yourself, I guess, legitimately in that way, as a career and a profession. Yeah.
Yeah, I my girlfriend works in finance, so A lot of friends that we have, it's always 9 to 5 job structure, Monday till Friday, that's it. And it's been that for like years for them. So it's always be like, oh, I'm an artist. And they're like, wait, what? Like, how? How does it
Yeah.
work? And then, yeah, it's always fun to explain everything to them. So,
Yeah.
yeah. The what talking about careers wise, how did you attack the art world, and how did you gain to um properly, because I don't think there is a lot of talks about this, like from when you decide to make a career out of your art to gain to the artwork and making like an actual professional, marketing using the social media. As I saw, your social media is really active, and you have a lot of followers. That could be a tools for you to promote your art. How did you attack the art marketing using
Mhm.
your artworks?
Yes, I mean, that's challenging, and that's something I had to navigate really just all by myself, just figure it out.
Hmm.
Because I will say that in my education, I'm grateful for the things that I got out of it, but it was very much focused on, how to talk about work, how to analyze work, how to be conceptual and thinking about your work. And I think these are great skill sets, but I didn't necessarily get much talk about how to run your business, how to promote yourself, how to network, and, financially, how to be an artist, because that's like 50% of being an artist
Yeah.
is the actual business. You're not just sitting there making the art. So I do wish I got a bit more discussion about that in my education, but I am fortunate for a lot of it to have someone really close to me, my dad, that I can turn to and I can ask him for advice in these more business-like situations. As far as promotion goes, yeah, I haven't worked with galleries yet. I haven't worked with anyone that's been promoting me. It's just been all myself. So I've really been relying on social media. And I started my social media Instagram account in college, just sharing what I'm doing. And it's always changing. As you know, like there's an algorithm.
Yeah.
And sometimes things are out of your control. You can share anything you want, and maybe you were getting a really good response a few months ago, and now the algorithm's changed and you don't know where anyone's gone. So I'm always kind of evolving and trying to change with the algorithm,
Yeah.
what trends are going on, but still really trying to represent what I want to represent, like keep things very uniquely me, but still try to be following the algorithms and the trends. And the biggest thing I think with social media, I guess, success with the climb in followers has been just sharing my process. And that might vary from artist to artist, because there's some things you don't mind sharing, there's some things you don't want to share. And, that's been a thought of mine. I don't want to overshare maybe
Yeah.
necessarily. So finding the balance between that, but I think it is important that followers, they feel like they're like in your studio, they're in your space, and they're getting that insight into your practice and what you're doing, because then you get a lot of people really engaged with you and really interested in what you're doing when they feel like they're in your studio with you.
Mm, yeah, I wish the same. I wish there was more talk. Maybe there is not that much talk, because there is not really a path, as we saw, as we said before. But I wish there was even during my study a little bit more talk about how to approach the market, and how to um, talk to galleries, how to talk about your artworks, which is, like, I think one of the most important thing to do, because I discovered that through the hard way, because I hate talk about my stuff, and I don't like to, be in front of 100 people and talking, oh, this is my drawing and I do this, because I
Yeah.
hate that, but I had to do that. And I had to learn how to kind of do it, and make people excited about what I do. So that's it's so much else than doing your only your drawings, only your artwork that you don't know before, and you just get slapped in a real world. And if I have to give an advice to young artists that want to start, younger artists than us that want to start, yes, learn that before you actually jump into the artwork. Maybe prepare something that you're really proud, and then use that portfolio to to present yourself to people. And then go around galleries and go around using social media as well, as you did. As I try to do as well. It's social media is such a huge part now of what I do and what we do, that it's really important to understand how it works through even like different platforms, YouTube's, Instagram, like it's so much different. That's it's always been really hard to use and adapt. Do you really, as I touched before, do you like to explain your artworks and the meaning behind your, like, to the audience, or you rather they come to your exhibition or to your studio and they see your artworks and they kind of like make their assumption of what is about?
Well, I always think that specifically with my work, I guess, the works speak for themselves. Now, I have written about my work, and I can explain my thoughts behind it, but it's pretty straightforward. It's really just visual exploration. I don't have any big concept behind it and studies of things to talk about. No, it's what you see is what it is. And so I think it is important for viewers to, I mean, especially viewing the pieces in person, what is that experience going to be like? What kind of curiosity will that spark, or excitement? Because that's really what I'm trying to get out of viewers when experiencing my work. So yeah, the works really, I think they're straightforward. There's not much explanation. I think it is nice though. I do have some writings on my website and everything about what's behind the work, but my ideas certainly aren't leading the work. The work is leading, and the work speaks for itself for sure.
I like that. That's good. It's, you kind of prioritize the skill set and the artwork before the idea behind. And I think that's something that in a lot of ways kind of missing in artwork right now. It's a lot of conceptual artworks and a lot of stuff, which it's really important. But at the same time, I think, the artwork himself needs to be something strong, something really powerful. Where do you see your future going? How do you have anything planned for the future? And before we wrap up, I want to give you the opportunity to speak about that. That you are planning for some exhibitions or anything like that?
No, I haven't started working with galleries yet. I don't know if I will. I don't know if I want to. I feel like I'm at this point in my career where I have the opportunity to kind of choose what path or where I put my work, who I work with, and how that will represent me and where that will put me in my career. So I'm kind of like, do I go gallery route? Do I continue working and expanding with interior designers, because that's been something I've been doing? Or do I keep pushing my social media and creating my own reputation and business through social media and selling majority through that? So I don't know. I don't know exactly what I want to do, but my biggest focus, I guess, is just expanding my work, keeping it growing, keeping it sharing, and seeing what opportunities come from that. Because I think it's important to just trust in your work and where your work will take you. The right person will see it, and the right opportunities will happen as long as you're putting it out there somehow. So yeah, I'm definitely just leading with the work, focusing on what I want to do with my work, and letting the rest happen.
It sounds like you have the most important thing that an artist can ask, which is independency. Like you're independent and you can choose, and you can go wherever you want, and I'm pretty sure you'll be successful in anything that you choose. So that's great. That's great to hear. Do you want to plug anything before we go, and your Instagram, social media, YouTube, if you have one, website, whatever you like?
Yes, my Instagram is gracedines.studio. Website is just gracedines.com. And all the information you would need is on either of those two platforms. So yeah, thank
Wonderful.
you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. All the links will be in the description, so people can just go click and support your artworks. And again, thank you for spending this time with me and talking about your art. It was a pleasure, and good luck with everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.